it's the third Army at the end of the war. And we were so lucky that we met him at our Veteran Appreciation Day, probably just about 3 or 4 years ago.
1914 or 15 or 16.
And since that time, he has done so much for our museum. He's spoken to our summer program. Last year, in that summer program, we had a focus on the Holocaust, gave our students materials about the Holocaust. And again, they had a chance to ask him questions. And this, we both remember this. He got done speaking. Pizzas had arrived in the back for lunchtime. And amazingly, high school students stayed gathered around him and continued to ask him questions. The formal part of our little question and answer was over, and they just stayed there, and that is an absolute miracle for kids not to go running after pizza. So again, Tim spoke to us at movie night a couple years ago. We're so happy to have him come here at the last minute to speak to us. So, Tim Canary. Tim, I'm going to switch over this microphone. On Walter's foot. That was Berkshire, I was here. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on 2016.
Turn it on, Bob. There you go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I can come close to filling the shoes of the gentleman who's supposed to be here. But as Bob told you, I spent 3 years, 3 months, 3 days in the service in the Army. Took basic training in was now Fort Gordon, was Camp Gordon outside of Augusta, Georgia. Was there I went to Fort Dix for 5 days, and then we got on a train and wound up down in Augusta, Georgia. Did basic training there, along with 10 weeks of maneuvers in Tennessee. We went overseas. We left Camp Gordon on November the 7th, I believe it was. Went to Camp Kilmer. Left Camp Kilmer on the 17th of November. We landed in the Firth of Clyde on the 24th. Took us 7 days. We went over without any escort. We went over on a ship was called the Aquitania. It was a British ship. It was a luxury ship before the war. So we went without any escort. Landed in Glasgow, Scotland, in the old Firth of Clyde, and got on a train and wound up down in England. We were about 120 miles west of London, 20 miles north of Bristol. We wound up in a town called Wooton under the Edge. Nice little town. We were split all over this town. Few builded here, a few there, nurses and doctors. Incidentally, we had the evacuation hospital. We had 232 men. We had 40 nurses and 40 commissioned officers. 32 of them, I believe, were doctors. The other were administrative officers. And they were split up all over the town. They were in private homes. We were there until the 13th of June. And the 13th of June, the fellow that was supposed to be sergeant of guard, he had a girlfriend over there. She asked me if I would, you take guard for a couple of hours. I said, okay, I'll do you a favor. Who gets to call the what's the name word to move out was me. So we moved out that evening during nighttime. We loaded up because we didn't get to work till about 7 o'clock at night. So we wound up in Southampton, England, We were there until the 15th of June. We loaded on the ship on the 15th. We landed on the beach on the 16th of June. We landed it. We wound up in the town of Le Combe in France. And we moved there. Well, I'm going to tell you about the first. You talk about, we were located, if anybody doesn't know, the evacuation hospital is pretty close to the front lines. When they freed St. Lo, which was a big thing because of the road systems and so forth. We moved the hospital unit. I was on detached service at the time because right after we landed, 4 of us, along with a major who was a psychiatrist, were sent out to take a clearing company and make it into a newer psychiatric hospital. Today it's called battle fatigue or whatever. So I wasn't there for several months. But give you an idea, we moved into a town called Ariel. It was rather late when we were riding Ariel for short. Okay. At Ariel, we came out to watch on July 25th as the bombing took place. They were getting ready for the what they called the Cobra, the breakthrough out of Normandy. We were confident the heavy equipment pounding would be successful, and there was not too close enough to be involved. Apparently, poor visibility or simple misadjustment led to planes of bombing fleet to inadvertently include our sight and the targets. The wind blew and plus it was cloudy. One of them trying to call the whole thing off, but some of the planes that got started said he couldn't do that. And the first time anything exploded so close to home, some of the fragments came through a surgery tent, actually tearing clothing on 2 of the operating staff. Extraordinary without any cause of injury. There was only 1 casualty reported, the superficial wound on the arm of one of the POW employees. We had POWs helping us set up, because we were set up in tents. So we had POWs helping with it. But that was one instance. There were other things. But we went through France and in September we were up in Belgium, Belgium. And we set up in I was back in there, got back in there in Eupen. We set up in a schoolhouse. It was an L-shaped schoolhouse. Windows all around. December the 16th. Oh well, we worked the 12-hour shifts when we were working. We worked from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, or from 8 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning. At this time, I was working the 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning shift. So we were going through the night, you know, you hear hack and so forth, but you don't get too concerned about it. Well, 5:30 in the morning, this would be in the morning of the 16th, because the winds were from the 15th. We heard a strange whistling sound. Then a big explosion. We didn't know what was going on, but nobody said anything, so we just kept going. We were getting our patients ready for breakfast and giving their shots and whatever. Nobody said anything. So I went off duty at 8 o'clock and still didn't know anything. Had my breakfast, whatever I had to do, and went to bed. Went back in at 8 o'clock at night. Then we had 3 nurses. I had 3 nurses standing in my ward. What are they doing here? Why, you know, we had a nurse on duty, but why nobody said anything to us. We're enlisted men, you know. Anybody that's been enlisted man. So about 11:30 at night, we heard the German planes out there. First thing you know, we had an open field out of one side of our building, and we had a big Red Cross out there. So the Germans knew we were there. 11:30 at night, they came over, and they came across on an angle. And they dropped a few bombs. Some intelligent, I've got to say this, and the way I feel about it, some intelligent officer put an ordnance depot within about 200 yards or 300 yards of our building. And the Germans knew it was there and they bombed it. Well, what it did to us, one thing, we were fortunate, because of blackout, we had put in GI blankets up at the windows. So, because of blackout and so forth. And I was just walking out of the room into the hall when this bomb dropped. The bombs, not one. And the glass, if it hadn't been for the blankets, there were 3 nurses standing out in the hallway, and we would all have been cut to smithereens with the glass. Well, we moved about 150 patients down in the air raid shelter or basement, whatever you want to call it, as quick as the gay people had to come in. There was no question. They don't ask any questions. It was just mandatory that you report to help us. But it broke all the windows. It sprung doors. Plaster was all over the place. We were still, and we were fortunate by one thing. There was no operation. The operating room was not. It was set up, and there was no operation going on at the time. But they did move that over in a secure place. But we were still receiving patients till sometime on the 17th, because the bulge was going on. You just don't make snap decisions and make, what are you going to do? You have to think about it, or where can we send this, or where do we send that one? So we got rid of the patients. I think all of them on the 18th, by the 18th. So we went to work and started repairing the buildings, cleaning up the plaster, cleaning up the glass, boarding up the windows, whatever it took to. Then we found out just what we took, and we found hold on just a second. They found a bomb right outside of our building. There was an entranceway. The building set back. So there was a big yard there, but out in front of the street, there was it didn't go off. By luck, it didn't go off. But it was scary, believe me. I said. Yeah, I kept working, but I was thinking about it, looking for a German to come through the door at any time. What am I going to do with a penicillin, hypodermic needle full of penicillin? Is that going to stop me? But none of them showed up. We did find out afterwards, if the Germans had continued their route that they were trying on, if we hadn't stopped them, they would have come right through where we were roofing. If you know anything about it, Aachen, we were close to Aachen. We could stand on the hill by our hospital and watch them bomb Aachen when they were taking it. Yeah, it was close. It was close. We also, they moved us out of Eupen for about 4 or 5 hours, moved us up to a town called WWII, H-U-Y, but it's pronounced WWII, don't ask me why. Then they moved us right back again. But then they took our trucks along with an officer and a driver. They had to go to Malmedy and move the 4th medical units out of Malmedy. We lost the one truck. 2 other drivers got wounded, but they don't talk to anybody about the infantry. They said that they were stuck. The infantrymen stood right up and fired at the Germans so they could get out of there. So they, I wasn't there, but it had to be awesome. But we survived that. As I say, we got back in operation. We were there. We finally moved out of there the 26th of December. out of Eupen. We'd been there for quite a while. So we went on, went to Spa, went to Eschweiler, Spa in Belgium, Eschweiler in Germany. That was our first German stop, was Eschweiler. We were the first evacuation hospital to cross the Rhine. We went across on pontoon bridges. We could see the bridge, the Ludendorff Bridge. See it crashed down in the water by the time we saw that, what was remains of it. In fact, in 1985, my wife and I took a vacation, and part of the vacation was, well, they say going down the Rhine. To me, they're going north. But anyhow, we went up the Rhine, or down the Rhine, and we went by where the Ludendorff Bridge was. And I saw the two pillars, one on each side, were still standing. And the guy, we were on a tour, I think, and the guy said, he said, people wanted to tear those pillars down and sell the pieces and put up monuments. And he said, and I agree with him, what better monuments do you have than what was there? So as far as I know, they're still there. But yeah, I did see that. We went across, I say, on a pontoon bridge. But we were the first back hospital to go across that. We wound up in several places. Hanna, can't think of what the other one was. If we moved fast. After we crossed that Rhine, we moved fast. We went down to a town called Bad Wildungen. Bad, if anybody knows, it's a spa. Two of the most beautiful hotels you ever want to see. We set up in one of those hotels. Well, we set the hospital up there. We were set up in the attic. But it was nice. It was nice. Beautiful country. Beautiful. We were there until the 21st of April. The 21st of April, we moved. We went up to a town called Nora in Germany. It was an airfield. There were barracks there for the pilots. They were all gone by then. But we're in there. We went in there on the 21st. We went in there about noon. We unloaded our trucks, and they put us back in trucks and never told us where we were going. We had about a 4-mile ride. We saw the most horrendous sight that anyone would ever want to see. We were in the Buchenwald concentration camp. And don't let anybody ever tell you it didn't happen. Believe me, I saw it. We were there all afternoon. So we went back to Nora, finished setting up our hospital there. 5 days later, we get instructions to move back into Buchenwald. We had to process 600 critically ill TB patients. We had to find out how severe and so forth, and send them to different hospitals throughout Germany, TB hospitals. That was the most awesome duty. I mean, it was bad taking care of our own, but that was something else. We, see those people like that, and you were afraid when they bring them into the ward, we were taking care of them. We bring them into the ward to take them off the litter. Normally, you could ease patients over. We took a sheet, 4 of us, each one on a corner, and picked them up and carried them over, set them on the bed. You're afraid to touch them. You're afraid to break the skin with it, with the bones. We started out, they were feeding them malted milk, eggnog, chocolate bars, trying to build them up, and plus a high-calorie diet. You couldn't do that to all the prisoners there, but these in particular. But I say there had to be a minimum of, say, 25 to 30,000 prisoners still left in there when we went in. There was not, I think it was the 120th hospital was in there before us, but I don't know what they did, but they didn't, and I'm not condemning them, don't believe me, they didn't clean it up. I'm sure they took care of the worst that they possibly could, but we went in, it took us 2 days to clean the barracks up because the prisoners got in there and messed them all up. took us 2 days to clean up, not only for the hospital, but for our sleeping quarters. They looked at putting them up, setting up tents, and they did away. We didn't have a big enough field available there that's close enough to do that. So we decided to clean the thing up. There again, yes, we had German prisoners helping us, but it was still awesome duty cleaning it up. And we saw the crematoriums. Oh, that's the ashes. It's hard to describe. The skin and bones. And I mean skin and bones. Believe me. But we set up, and we got a commendation for the way we handled things in there from the gentleman from the Army that was overseeing it. And we had to take X-rays, blood work, urine specimens. All of this had to be done, and we did it. But I say we were in there when the war in Germany ended. That was December, May the 8th. We were in there then. But it's, as I say, it was hard taking care of our own people, but by God, when you see people like that, ours at least you could get them. If you give these people who started out there trying to give them food, you give them a plate of food, they bring half of it back and they rub their stomach, they couldn't eat it. The stomachs wouldn't take it. But our sanitation department took German civilians and oversaw. We spent 2 weeks cleaning up as much as we could in 2 weeks. Our chaplain had the awesome duty of burying them because they were dying right and left in there. And people say, well, yes, we had to bury them in a trench because there's no other way. But we didn't bulldoze them in. They were laid in there properly, the best you could do, There's so much stuff went on. I couldn't keep up with all of it. And when you get done, you're retired. When you get done at nighttime or daytime, whatever shift you're working, just got something to eat and went to bed. You were beat. That day, the patients didn't give you a hard time, but it's just things that had to be done, and you do the best you could for them. I don't care how much time. We didn't care how much time it took of our time. We did what we could to make them comfortable. So, but as I said before, don't let anybody ever tell you it didn't happen. I mean, it's just awesome. So, any questions or anything? I don't want to.
Tim, can you tell us how long you were set up in Buchenwald? Because the whole unit set up literally in the camp confines.
We were set up in the camp confines for two full weeks. Yeah, I can tell you. This book, the gentleman, he was a warrant officer long after the war, 1990 or so. He put this together. It's all about our outfit. We were in Buchenwald from the 28th. We set up on the 28th of April till May the 11th. Should be 14 days if I remember right. Yeah, we set up a full. We only had a small operating section because it wasn't called for that for what we were doing. But most it was basically medical. So picking out, how bad each one was. That's why I said we took X-rays. We took all the necessary to find out just how ill each one was, and they were shipped eventually to different hospitals. And it was 600. Evidently, from what I gather, that you're in a war, Well, let me tell you something, you don't know everything that's going on, even in your own outfit, you're busy, you're doing your job. But, yeah, so we don't know, I don't know where this one went, where that one went, or, you know, those kind of things. But I just know that it was horrible duty, I mean, we did it, and we're proud to do it. But, I just say, I don't want anybody to tell me it didn't happen. But, yeah, so we set up, as I said, we had a emergency, surgical section. But, it was only small, because it didn't figure we needed because we were only taking care of the TV. I don't know what they did to remove the rest, as far as medical goes, with the rest of them. I haven't the faintest idea.
The rest of your medical unit was doing other things with the
Yeah.
former prisoners.
A question, sir? Were you able to identify all those individuals in Buchenwald?
But this,
Were you able to identify who they were?
I couldn't, I don't know. I don't know what they did in receiving, where they came in.
Yeah.
To me, I was in a ward, taking care of patients afterwards, you know, till they were able to get them set where they were going to go. So I know we had interpreters there.
Okay.
Because there was more than one different language.
That
And all we
was
could
really
do
why I
was,
asking.
ours was hand, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I often wondered about that, if I always looked around to see if I could ever find a patient or someone that was in Buchenwald when I was there. Now, I was down to, Margate, their, Jewish, not the synagogue,
Community center.
yeah. And I was down there, and, I was talking to, two people. One, her husband, she said evidently her husband had passed away. He was in Buchenwald. But I was talking to a younger lady there. She said her father was in there when it was free. He was 15 years old, and I think he weighed 58 pounds. He was still living, that's been 3 or 4 years ago, he was living in Florida, but he had TB.
Now, when you were there for 14 days, obviously there was a lot more than 14 days worth of work there. Did they rotate you guys out just because of the
No.
conditions?
No. As I say, I'm not sure how it worked with the chick. The morning of the 8th of May, the morning we got the word that the war in Europe was over, I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I don't know whether I was going to work or coming off, you know what I'm saying? I don't know which shift I was working. I can't remember that. Memory does not work too well these days.
How many were in your unit? How many were in your medical unit?
There was 232 enlisted men, 40 nurses, and 50 or 40 male officers, commissioned officers, and 30, I think it was 38 of them, or 32 of them were doctors. The others were administrative personnel. Yeah, and speaking, I say we had 40 nurses. If you're watching MASH, believe me, did nothing like that happen. Believe me. You couldn't get close. No,
Did your entire unit go to Buchenwald?
not quite. They left enough, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe a dozen or so people back with a token thing just in case at Nora, where these barracks were for the Air Force. But as I said, when we got there, the Air Force was gone. There was an airfield right across the road there, and there was parts of the plane still laying there. But
Could I ask, before you got to Buchenwald, and as you were moving quickly through Europe, did your unit also treat German combatants who were wounded, or was there a strict separation?
we took care of the wounded.
But Germans too?
Well, Germans too?
Yes.
Yes. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. Yes, we took, and some of them, we took, they got the same care that we got, but if they were there, like, for a meal, they got fed. And some of them on the way out would say, "DACA for Alice."
And wounded also?
But they were wounded. Yeah, they were wounded. Any way we had were wounded. They, well, a while ago, March the 7th of 1945, we were set up in Eschweiler, Germany. I was assisting a captain, the doctor. We're aspirating, taking the fluid out of a German, I'd say German youth, maybe 15, 16 years old, prisoner. He was a prisoner in our hospital. Well, this kid, he spit on the captain. Don't ask me what the captain did. But as I said before, if anything had ever come of that, I'd have to lie for the captain. I'm sorry, but he didn't just spit the second time because I held his head. It didn't happen the second time. But yeah, and that was the same day. While we were doing this, somebody came by and told us that they had captured the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen over the Rhine, which was good, happy news. Which I'll tell you, if anybody knows, that saved a lot of lives.
Those pillars are still there, by the way. Those pillars are still there.
Was that, yeah,
Those
yeah.
brown pillars on the Rhine River, they're still there.
Yeah, they're there, I saw them.
Yeah.
They were in 1985, let me put it to you that
Yeah,
way.
they were there about 5 years ago, because I was over there.
Yeah, if they tear them down and put up monuments, what do you got? You got the monuments right there. No, but normally, we got, when they had the German prisoners, we didn't have any problems with them, outside that one. You gotta have one. But, other than that, I say, it was something that I'm proud to say I helped do. I'm only not even a pinhead in the whole thing, but we had a good outfit.
How are they getting supplies to you, like medical supplies? There were an awful lot of people to treat, so I wonder how you got them.
We didn't have it. We didn't have it. We did battle the balls, but things got a little slow as far as getting our supplies. So, but we managed. We were able to manage. We didn't. I don't know if any patients have suffered because we didn't have something. No, but they did it. I think they did made that what they call the Red Ball Express, and they moved particularly for gas, but they moved all supplies, and they did it. Believe me, they did it. They ran night and day. That was because we were getting way into France, getting ready to hit Germany and Belgium, and we just ran out of our resources. But we got it. We made it. I mean, the only one out of the whole war, we only once did we our hospital unit back up, and that was right there. Anna, you can. It was a town, I can't remember. We weren't there, we didn't set, I don't think we set up there, but they did move us back. And we did but there was another town where they moved us back. I think it was Jodine, something like Jodine or something like that. But, no, we never, I would say we never retreated.
Then we have a question in the back.
Yes, how long would it take for the Army moving into a certain area to set up a field hospital? A day or two, or?
A good day, I would say. We had 30-some ward tents. Those tents are something like 20 by 40, 24 wide, 40 feet long. We had to set them all up, and plus we had to set up what they call pyramidal tents, or basically square, for the officers, nurses, and for so we had about I'm gonna say in the neighborhood of 50 pieces of equipment, of tendons to set up. And that's not fun. Yeah, again, Army officer said it takes, 9 minutes to set one up. Well, you got stakes all around this thing that you have to pound into the ground, and you've got the rope. You might get 1 to 9 minutes, but you're not gonna get 30 of them. 4.5 minutes to take one down. But there's a picture of the hospital when it's set up, basically. So that's a lot of work. It's just gonna take, and then, you know, the big thing about it is, you get done setting it up, you're going in operation right away. So you're gonna go from doing this work, you're gonna go to no sleep. You know, it was not fun. I mean, there's people say, oh, you had a soft. Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
Tim, how old were you when you went in?
How old were you when you went in the Army?
When I went in the Army, I was 20 years old when I went in. I was 20 years old, and that was August the 22nd. November the 15th, I was 21.
You started saying something about a buzzing overhead. When he was into school, you heard this buzzing overhead?
Yeah, can you talk about the buzzing when you were, I think that was December 16th, the way you're telling the story. What was the buzzing sound?
That buzzing sound was that bomb whistling over our head, going into the courtyard next to us. If that bomb had been 50, 75 feet towards us, would have ruined us. Would have probably killed many. But that was what it was. That was a bomb going over us. It was a strange sound when you hear the ack and so forth, but that was a whistling sound, you might say. Not a buzz, it was really a whistling sound.
That's what they call them.
And they said afterwards, December the 16th to 5:30 is when they had it all set, and that's when they started. It was 5:30 when that happened. Yeah.
And for the high school students, that was the start of the Battle of the Bulge, because we didn't make that clear, just so you know.
One more question. Did you see any thunderbolts flying?
Did you see any thunderbolts flying overhead, P-47s?
I saw many of them over the whole course of the war. Believe me, many of them. I saw one of them one time involved in a dogfight, and he came out ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, there were many of those. They did a fantastic job as far as I'm concerned. It's just a shame they didn't have the couldn't carry enough fuel to take it way into Germany like when they got the P-51s. But they were a plane, believe me. Yeah, many of them I saw go over. I was saying one day, in fact, we were in Yukon just before the bulge. When I was watching this one up there in a dogfight. Christmas morning, we're sitting. I was